Okay, so what does that sign say?
It says, welcome to the 6th championship of Husky Dogs. It's called Kubok Podolia.
That was Alessia's voice. Alessia is my translator and my cover. I'm here to get footage of alleged bear baiting.
Okay, so the bear hunt is about a kilometer from the main road, straight in front of us. Alessia and myself are going to go down and see what footage we can get.
They gave the dogs scores for attacking the bear.
She said, welcome to the beautiful competition of Husky Dogs against the bear. And the dogs were judged according to the ability to focus on the bear, ability to bite, and the voice should be louder, and it should be heard from far away. And the first dog got 62 points. It got the diploma of the 3rd level.
Bear baiting is alive and well and happening in Ukraine. Alessia and I infiltrated 2 bear baiting events. The second time, I was more prepared. My footage was graphic and distressing. It was at the second event that we were joined by Natalie Tsendra. Natalie and I have been through a lot together. A hell of a lot. My name is Phillip Lennon. I'm a South African documentary producer. Together, we have traveled the length and breadth of the vast country of Ukraine. Our mission was to prevent this little lady from becoming bait in the barbaric sport of bear baiting. This is Nastia.
I've never seen someone look so strong on the outside, but they know it's so wrong, cause there's something inside that haunts the walls of their souls, and they're just scared of it all. They're just scared to fall. And you used to smile, you used to laugh, but inside you were breaking. Happiness isn't made to last, and I want you to know that if I could make all the happiness whole again, I would. But for now, I'm here if you need me.
My first visit to Ukraine was in November 2011. I was invited by international animal welfare organization Fulton. The man I am with is their project leader, Dr. Amir Khalil. We are here to find out more about vodka bears, captive bears kept under control by feeding them alcohol.
Okay, we found a restaurant. Apparently there's a bear here somewhere.
This is Rosa. Rosa is a vodka bear. After lengthy negotiations with Rosa's owner, Rosa was rescued. She was going to a new home. Our destination was Synovia National Park, a wilderness area in Ukraine. The park is some 40,000 hectares in size and is situated in the Carpathian Mountains.
It is exquisite. It's snowing, it's like a fairyland here. And this is inside the park that is going to be the bear's new home. Rosa will not be swimming in this lake. They will cordon off a huge area, but this is the type of beauty that these bears are going to be surrounded by. It's mind-blowing. I'm so privileged to be here.
Synovia was home to a small rescue center for brown bears. Mikola Durbak is the park's director, and his assistant is Natalie Tsendra.
I love nature and I love animals, and I saw bears in zoos, and he was very, very poor and so miserable, and I saw their suffering for them, and but I had no experience before to see him.
At the time, I had no idea that Natalie and I would shock animal lovers around the world with what we would uncover.
I was so glad, so excited.
The next bear rescue I filmed was in the town of Lugansk, in the far east of Ukraine, on the Russian border. The bear we would rescue was a 2-year-old bear called Potap. This is Vasil Golikov, Potap's owner. The reason for this rescue happening was because Golikov had slapped a journalist from a local TV station during an interview about his captive bear. The ensuing publicity and public outcry forced Ukrainian authorities to give the green light for Potap to be confiscated from Golikov. My suspicion was that this man used Potap as bait to train his hunting dogs at bear baiting events.
Ну, я вам хочу сказать, что вот вся эта журналистика, все эти действия общественности, просто люди не знают.
They complained really about this bear because he was used for training a hunter dogs, and like husky and like this. But owner denies it that he used this bear for training hunting dogs.
In my opinion, he was lying. Potap had a gaping wound on his neck. Golikov said it was as a result of a collar that Potap had been wearing since he was a cub. Potap had got too big and aggressive to be able to remove the collar, and it cut into the young bear's neck. From what I had filmed at the 2 bear baiting events I had infiltrated, I had a good idea what really caused those dreadful wounds. It is more than likely from the collar attached to the running chain that is used to manipulate and control the bear being attacked. Once Potap was sedated, his rescuers attended to his wounds. He was taken away from Golikov for good. His new home will be with Rosa at Synovia. In South Africa, we have the terrible practice of canned lion hunting. Lion cubs are hand-raised, petted at game farms, and once big enough, they are hunted in canned lion hunts. I have never understood how man can use the suffering of animals to enrich himself. Now, here in Ukraine, it struck home just how global cruelty is.
Animal welfare in Ukraine. I think these 2 names, these 2 words, it's nothing to do together. They are not connected at all. Because, for example, even I was wondering, for example, I cannot translate into Ukrainian animal welfare, because welfare This word in Ukrainian can be used just for humans, but not for animals.
So there's no word for
There is even no word. Animal welfare. No? So it starts from here. No word for this.
My mission in Ukraine was stepped up after exposing the bear baiting. Amir had offered Natalie a job. She accepted. Natalie and I, along with a couple of other Fee-Fulton representatives, moved into an apartment in Kyiv, Ukraine's capital. Kyiv is a beautiful city steeped in history, much of it bloody history. Over the centuries, the city has seen sieges and battles come and go. I watched the 2012 UEFA finals in Kyiv's Independence Square, the Maidan. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever believe that 18 months from that celebration of football, over 100 Ukrainians would die at this place. Their blood spattered on the streets now occupied by lovers of the beautiful game. I would spend most of my time in Ukraine with Natalie, following up on leads that involve captive bears in terrible situations. Alessia, the Ukrainian woman who accompanied me to the bear baiting events, would join us from time to time. To gain access to bears, we needed a contact who was connected to the animal trade. Enter one, Sasha Popovich.
Тут, получается, парковая зона, но сейчас просто зимние каникулы, тут тваринки такие маленькие следуют.
He says that now it's a winter season, that's why we don't have lots of animals here. This is the zoo area.
Popovich owns a small zoo close to Alessia's home, the city of Vinnytsia, in west-central Ukraine. Amir tasked Natalie and I with trying to make contact with animal traders dealing in bear cubs destined for restaurants, as well as eventually bear baiting tournaments. We traveled deep into rural Ukraine, almost getting lost a few times. We had arranged to meet Popovich at a restaurant to set up a meeting with a man wanting to sell his young bear. Why do we have to be careful at the other bear we're going to?
Чому ми мусимо бути так дуже осторожні і насторожені там, де той є, де ще відміть?
Він просто не покаже, що він вміє робити. Він зашифрується і все.
А чого це він робить?
Тому що незаконно надає оцей, всякі там вистави, да, сюди вечеринки, креті, він не має права, він трохи, як знущається над тварин.
So this owner makes illegally performance of the bear, and it's really cruel. And if he will be with camera and film this performance, he will just hide the bear and so like this.
If we go there without the camera, will he let the bear perform for us? If I'm a tourist, will the bear perform for us?
Якщо ми поїдемо туди без камери, то він буде всі робити всі приколи для
Просто на
нас.
виставу попадете і все. А потім після вистави можете поговорити індивідуально зробити це.
So if we will not use the camera, it will be available to see the old performance with all the tricks of the bear, yeah.
I don't think we must do that without a camera.
Without the camera.
Getting visuals at these meetings with animal traders was difficult. Most did not want cameras around.
He allowed me to take a camera and to make some photos.
This guy will?
Yeah.
Where are we going?
Yeah.
So I can have this little one out, huh?
Yeah, I think.
I would pretend to take still photographs while recording video.
Не менше 30 квадратів. То іначе приїдуть і заберуть медведя, то ще до природи. Скажи йому, на пасі відпочинку.
The bear cub was 1 year old, still a baby.
Це треба дивитися аналіз, як він посрав. А може глибше, пішов я.
The owner told us he wanted to sell the cub because he was getting too aggressive and becoming unmanageable.
Бери на руки. Бери ззаду. За руки, бери за руки. Бери, підниз бери. Саймон, сидіть.
Is it Simon?
Кадр, Саймон. Лапу брав. Я дам зараз лапу. Убрав лапу. Так.
Simon the bear.
Саймон! Саймон! Саймон, ты Бэтмен!
Now the little bear had a name, Simon. The man in the forest was really proud of what he had taught Simon to do.
Клоун тянет машинку, он сидит за рулем.
So he can drive in a small car.
Yeah.
На бочке танцует с ним.
He can
И он
dance
баланс
on
держит.
the table actually.
Ну, на задних лапах.
Simon was used in a traveling roadshow that entertained people in small villages in the region. I was given a DVD to show me just how well this man trained his performing bears. What I heard next freaked me out beyond belief.
When it is small cub like of half a year, we just.
То их надо, клыки общипывается ветеринар. Они очень острые, как иголки.
They cut this teeth.
They cut the teeth
Так,
when he's
клыки.
small. Oh, okay.
А потом, когда встает уже большой, они уже не такие острые, уже не такие опасные.
So when he grew
Большие.
up, these teeth are not so dangerous because it is.
Но маленькие, когда, вроде
not
небольшие,
so,
кусают.
Not so,
Когда на
harsh.
руки берут, вот так на руки ловят, кусают. Руки сладкие. Это традиционально.
The declawing and removal of bears' teeth in Eastern Europe had been outlawed years ago. It seems as though Ukraine's bear keepers made their own
Понял?
laws.
Не просто буль-буль, а кораблик. Давай нормально, бо я бы...
This is when it hit me how hard this mission was going to be. The rescue center at Sinovia had no facilities for looking after young bear cubs. I had to leave a 1-year-old bear cub to an unknown fate. That hurts. The sad truth is that bears can be kept under despicable conditions for decades, all in the name of so-called entertainment.
Just take my hand, I'm here, I'll be waiting. And please understand I'm not disappearing yet. I'm here for good, I'm not falling away. I'm here to stay, at least for just another day. I know you're scared and I've felt that fear, but you've got those eyes and they've drawn me in. So take my hand and hold me close to you, 'cause I'm not going anywhere unless you tell me to. Just look into my eyes and we'll float into paradise. Into paradise.
It seems as though the trade cycle begins at zoos. Zoos that are used as breeding facilities. Alessia informed Natalie and I that a zoo in her hometown of Vinnytsia had some new arrivals. Tiny newborn bear cubs.
Okay, so what we have here is a Himalayan bear, and she's acting like this. She's totally stressed. She's been separated from her cubs. Her cubs are in here somewhere.
Natalie asked a zoo staff member about the cubs' fate.
He said that they are already 3 months old and they need to be separate because they need to be adapted to the people, because they're gonna travel soon. And I asked, do you sell the animals? Where are they gonna travel? And he said that they are exchanging the animals with the zoos. And after a few minutes, I asked again which zoo or what kind of animals you're gonna get instead of them. And he said, yeah, but circus will get them.
Coincidentally, Popovich's zoo was close by. Then one day, Natalie received a call from Popovich that would change everything.
What did Sasha say?
Sasha found 2 bears, 2 female bears, and we can film that this process of removing the cubs from their mother.
One of the cubs Popovich was going to collect was a 4-month-old bear cub from a zoo in the town of Lutsk, about a 3-hour drive west of Kiev. We hit the road immediately. We arrived at Lutsk at around 10 in the morning. The town dates back as far as 1085 and has survived fires and wars. Thousands have been massacred here. Lutsk Zoo was pitiful. I have filmed in many terrible zoos around the world. They all have this sad desperation about them. Then I saw what can only be described as the cutest ball of fur I have ever seen. She was adorable, and she was fearless. She wanted to play. I then learned that even at this age, bear cubs move incredibly fast.
They hit my camera.
Then she grew bored with me and went after a group of children. Next person in her sights was Natalie.
Stand still, stand still.
I wanted to know more about this little bear cub.
How many bear cubs do you sell a year?
Скільки за рік розбирають малышів?
3.
3. Okay. And expensive?
А скільки вони коштують? Дорого?
Ну, відносно ні. До $1000.
To $1,000.
$1,000? Wow.
The interview was interrupted by the arrival of Popovich's men. They had come for the little cub that had been entertaining me for the last half hour or so.
Просто в сторону не ходіть близько. Так, сітку. Доску зразу. Ногой.
One of the hardest things I've had to film in my life. Ever.
I wanted to run away, to get far from the heart-wrenching moans coming from deep within the cub's mother. It took all my discipline to walk back to the group of men stuffing the cub into the small box. This day was the day that Natalie named the small furry bear cub Nastia.
Tell me what you saw, how you feeling about what you're seeing going on here.
I have no words to express this feeling. It's awful.
Finally, the screaming Nastia was secured in her wooden box.
Успокойся.
I wanted to show what I had filmed to the rest of the world. I wanted those responsible to pay. I wanted to shut down Popovich's trade in animals. It took the level head of Dr. Amir Khalil to point out that now was not the time to release my footage, as we would have nowhere to house the small bear cub if we got permission to rescue her. Sinevia was not equipped to look after bear cubs as young as Nastia. Amir needed to work on a plan.
You and I know this part like the back of our hands.
What was agreed on was that Natalie and I would head off to Popovich's zoo to find out what the animal trader was doing with the baby bear. Popovich had no qualms about me filming. When we arrived, we were greeted by another bear cub on a leash. It seemed as though Popovich has a steady supply of really young bear cubs. We were then taken to a cage that held a cub that we were told was Nastia. I have never seen so much anger in such a small animal. But was this Nastia? I had to take Popovich's word that it was, but something was not right. Next, we were shown the reason why these cute furry bear cubs are so in demand. They are used to entertain children. The truth of the matter is that, like captive lion cubs, these bear cubs are here to make tourists happy. If you own a zoo with a bear cub or a lion cub running around, you will attract families who want their photos taken with these iconic animals. Once bear cubs get too big to entertain kids, most end up like Potop and are used as bait in bear baiting. Either that or are sold to hunters to be shot. I left the zoo feeling confused. Was one of those cubs Nastia? And if not, where was she? I passed all my information on to Amir, who began to work on a plan to release Nastia's capture footage to the public. For the next 6 weeks, Amir tried everything possible within his power to get permission from the Ukrainian authorities to rescue Nastia from Popovich. Amir's pleas fell on deaf ears. There was only one way to get the authorities to sit up and take notice. Nastia's capture footage was leaked to the local and international media.
We are waiting now the first report on the national television here, one of the main national television, about the story of Nastia, where we hope now some members of the government will watch this and will take actions.
The plan now was to rescue Nastia from Popovich's zoo and reunite her with her mother, Masha. Nastia's rescue was set for early July. Natalie and I were sent back to Popovich's zoo to make sure that Nastia was safe and that she was at the zoo. There was a chance that all the publicity would scare Popovich into moving her. If that happened, she would be lost to us forever. When I saw those little eyes, I was sure. This was Nastia. Popovich was nowhere to be seen. I noticed a small group of men hanging around and sent Natalie to find out who they were.
These people, they are from the ecological inspection of Vinitka region, and they asked me when we're gonna start rescue mission tomorrow, at what time exactly. And I said, so maybe in the morning, but I will confirm them tonight, the exact time. And she said, do you know where's the Sasha, the owner of the place? And I said, no, I don't know, so we'll do this without him. But okay. This is it.
The publicity had kicked some butts into action. I had learned that the Ukrainian government departments did not like unnecessary publicity. Nastia's story was becoming a huge headache for them, and Popovich was the cause of that headache. It is rescue day. Amir now had official permission to rescue the little bear. There was one small problem. Nastia had become bad news for zoos across Ukraine. No one wanted to give her temporary shelter while the site for a bear sanctuary was located. Nastia has to go back to Lutsk Zoo, where her mother is. She would, however, be in the care of Fee Fulton. The local authorities want everything done by the book. This means making sure that all the correct permits and documentation are signed.
We will confiscate the bear today, now. For both have the right to confiscate the bear as a condition.
Nastia's time at Popovich's zoo is nearly over. The next part of her short but busy little life is about to begin. While watching Nastia succumb to the low dose of tranquilizers, I realized that if my camera had not been at Lutsk Zoo the day she was captured, Nastia would have ended up at a petting zoo, and then eventually she would be used in bear baiting, and finally hunted. But fate had other plans for her.
I don't wanna see you hurt, 'cause it'll only make me cry. But I don't know which is worse, just taking the blame of an eye for an eye. Sitting here holding my
We'll go now to the ambulance.
feeling all alone. I'm scared of what's outside the window. Please come home. All I ever asked for was a friend, someone to hold my hand. Show me the way home again. To be understood and to understand. Is anybody listening to the meek and mild? Just trying to get my words to be heard again. The story of a child.
The drive to Lutsk Zoo was a long drive. The ambulance stopped every now and again to make sure that their furry passenger was in good spirits. It is not a nice feeling driving into Lutsk Zoo. My memory of the trauma that Nastia had suffered here was still fresh. I wondered if Nastia had memories of that day. I hoped not. I hoped that her time away from this place had erased that day from her little bear mind. Local interest in Nastia's rescue resulted in TV crews from most channels arriving at Lutsk Zoo to see the mother and child reunion. Masha was moved into a cage that was a distance from the other bears at the zoo.
So, when you take a picture,
Masha was agitated.
and you're going to look how the bears will react.
Would she recognize and accept her baby? Nature's chain had been broken. Nastia's rejection by Masha was heartbreaking. Nastia would need a secure home that would protect her from her mother, but still allow interaction to see if the mother and her baby could still be brought back together. The adult bears were shuffled around in their cages. The male was back in his cage on the far left. Next to him was Masha. Then there was a steel tunnel that joined Masha's cage to what would be Nastia's cage. The rescue team tried their best to make her temporary home as comfortable as possible. A distressed Nastia was sedated and gently carried into her enclosure to recover. This spot of dappled sunshine was the very place I had filmed my first visuals of Nastia when she was still under her mother's instinctive protection. Man had now destroyed that protective instinct. When Nastia woke up, she started to explore her surroundings. The solid steel of the cold enclosure did protect her from Masha. If Nastia and Masha were ever going to be in the same cage, it would take time. A bear specialist was brought in from Bulgaria to assess the situation. He would be able to tell us if these two bears could ever share the same space.
In order to try out whether this female wants to accept this cub back or not, we installed this tiny chain link. We want just to see if they interfere and interact very closely so they can smell each other and see each other very closely, how the female will react. And if we will see that the reaction is an aggressive one, then we will push her back. This behavior is a typical behavior of attack. It's an aggressive. This chopping of the mouth is an aggressive behavior. She doesn't recognize her as a baby. She's looking to her as an intruder. Is a big risk that this female will kill the cub. I think the best solution for that cub would be to move her in a big facility, in a good facility with improvements and green things inside.
It was so sad to see how the little cub tried her utmost to get through to her mother. The next few days were a nightmare. Nastia developed the stereotypical behavior that so many captive animals show.
This stereotypical behavior, if you watch her now, you see she's doing exactly the same movement already. From there, now she turns, and when she turns now, she will raise the head, look. Did you see it? She will raise the head always, because she turns like that, and from here raise the head. And this is already a movement very deeply implanted in the brain somehow, and then it's very hard to get it out because it's a kind of, it's like with people who have this all kind of tics that always makes a movement and cannot control it because it's not anymore conditioned by the wish or the will. It's a kind of instinctual movement, and this is done by the bars here, and then it's very hard to get off.
Nastia was receiving the best possible care and getting a better diet than any of the other bears at the zoo. Fee Fulton had been told that Nastia was the only bear that they could look after, and that the animal welfare organization must stay away from the other bears. Then Nastia's future started to look a little brighter. During our travels, we met a man with ties to Sinevia National Park, a businessman called Noriar Anjamikian. Noriar was a shrewd man, who also seemed to wield a lot of clout in certain government circles. Noriar also owns land. Amir paid Noriar's place a visit to see if it would be a suitable site to construct a bear sanctuary, as it was becoming clear that the director of Sinevia National Park was not interested in allowing foreigners or outsiders to look after the rescued bears that were housed there. Amir liked what he saw at Noriar's place, and negotiations began to secure the land in order to construct Nastia a new home. Natalie had been under huge pressure from many quarters during Nastia's rescue. She also had a devastating personal battle on her hands. Her mother was very ill with cancer. I could see that inside she was close to breaking.
How have you coped? How have you coped with your mother being so ill, with what's going on and going through all this shit here? How have you dealt with this?
I don't know. I cannot explain this because, you know, my mother, she got a cancer and she will die in a few days, next days. And yeah, I don't know. It's just how it is.
Because you haven't really told a lot of people, you know. You don't think that if you would have had support, or did you just want to do it on your own?
They cannot give me the support. Yeah, and it's not that the topic that you want to talk with somebody. I mean, me personally. And I don't want to talk about this because I will start to cry, okay? I need to call back, okay? Я завтра до тебе приїду.
I knew it was her mother who had called.
She just told, don't be afraid, because I need to go.
There was a bear sanctuary to build. The new sanctuary is about a 150-kilometer drive from Kyiv, close to the city of Zhytomyr. The construction company had told Dr. Mikhail that the new sanctuary on Noriar's land would be ready for Nastia on the 8th of November. When we arrived at the new sanctuary, it was snowing heavily. With my camera rolling, I was ready to capture Natalie's impressions of how the construction of Nastia's new home was progressing. But first, we had a small fashion issue to resolve.
But just for a question without camera.
What?
About this jacket. You know, don't film me with jacket.
You look beautiful.
No!
No, I promise you look fine.
Otherwise, I will take it off.
No, you look good.
Okay, like because in every these things I look like, I don't know, very people. I wasn't ready to see this because we have only 9 days from today.
How big is this problem?
So big. It's shit, yes. You want this for it. I don't know if I do. I don't know.
Amir had been at Four Paws headquarters in Vienna. Natalie's news on the building progress had him on the first flight to Ukraine. I have known Amir for a good few years. I have never seen him really angry. Until now.
Yeah, but in 3 days they can make what you done in 1 month. My blood is cooking, and for you it's a joke. I have really a fucking problem now. I don't believe in 4 days this will be ready.
During this heated exchange with the construction guys, I wondered if Natalie was translating everything that Amir was saying.
Yeah, it's a great experience to translate fucking fuck.
Noria also visited the construction site, and the builders were on the receiving end of his frustration.
Финансовые, честно, вот сейчас пока финансовая проблема.
Что именно? Конкретно? Называй, блядь, позиции! Не пизди деньги!
2 days before Nastia's move, Amir had to make a drastic decision.
We took the decision yesterday evening after consulting with all the responsible in Vierpfoten, also with our partner here, that the best is for the security reason for the bears and the animal welfare condition. We have to postpone the transfer of Nastia because the security of the animal come at first.
The new date to move Nastia to the sanctuary was the 27th of November. There could be no more delays. It had also been decided that the rescue team would also rescue Masha, Nastia's mother. Even though the two bears could not be reunited or even in the same enclosure, there was enough space at the new sanctuary for Masha. Space being something that the large female bear had never experienced in her life. I had been so caught up in the building saga that I had not been able to get to Lutsk Zoo to see how Nastia was doing. Natalie and I headed to Lutsk. Nastia had grown. She had grown a lot.
She changed, as we can see, first of all, she grown up. She now is a fatty bear. Nastia. And she already feels much better because she already lost this stereotypical behavior. She is not passing and running in the cage. She's calm and really cheerful and playful.
In a few weeks' time, Nastia and Masha, now sporting her thick winter coat, will be moved to their new home. Time could not pass quickly enough. After what felt like an eternity, the rescue team gathered in Lutsk for the big day. However, nothing is going to plan. The Lutsk City Council has said that Masha will not be handed over to Vierpfoten. Nastia's mother will stay at Lutsk Zoo. My life partner Mariki had also flown to Ukraine to be with me for Nastia's release. She was the person I had neglected the most during the almost 1 year I had spent in Ukraine. Now she was about to find herself in the middle of the fight for the captive bears of Lutsk Zoo. It was decided that Mariki would call the mayor, saying that she was a journalist from South Africa and wanted clarity on the situation regarding Masha.
I'm phoning about the bears, Nastia and Masha. Hello? Put the phone down.
Then Natalie received a text message from the mayor.
We will do our best for our bears without your help.
This I get the message yesterday. through some internal guys that they prepare a surprise for us.
Yeah.
Okay, they want to war, let us make war.
There was nothing else to be done that night. None of us knew what waited for us the next day. Early the next morning, the team gathered in the dark outside Lutsk Zoo gates. Amir went and informed the zoo's acting director that we were ready to take Nastia. The acting director was none other than the lady who I had spoken to just before Nastia's capture. Instead of heading to the bears' cages, we were herded into an office. Inside, the acting director was calling all the shots and making things as difficult as possible for the rescue team.
So she claimed me now that
she was going as far as saying the zoo had no deal with Phillip regarding the release of Nastia into their care.
If it is the point is down to, I don't want to argument with her, I respect her. Anyway, she cannot decide. So I don't need to argument with her.
Then, with a flourish, the acting director produced documentation we had been trying to see for months. The document saying that Nastia was legally exchanged for a llama.
Of January 2012.
This could be true also, I thank you for this. Only said that you don't show this document during the president's last time here. Especially the local authority and the ecology authority in Venezia was very keen to get any documentation about this sale act.
Особливо екологічна інспекція у Вінницькій області була дуже зацікавлена отримати цей акт приплоду.
The acting director was wielding her power and enjoying it. She was trying everything possible to stop Nastia's rescue. The entire rescue mission was at risk. Finally, Amir has enough of the acting director's rantings.
So I don't need to argument with her. We have to call the mayor.
The meeting is over. Amir and Natalie leave for the mayor's office, and we hung around waiting for news. I noticed that Lutsk Zoo had cut off all of Phillip's padlocks and replaced them with their own locks, which means that there was no way that we could get access to any of the bears. The rescue team moved closer to Nastia's cage to wait for news from Amir and Natalie. Finally it comes.
Amir gives the green light that we can start preparing the transfer of Nastia.
We are minutes away from finally taking Nastia away from Lutsk Zoo. The desperate, sad reality is that the other bears will probably live out their days here, breeding to fulfill the greedy needs of animal traders. But for now at least, one little bear is assured of a new life.
Okay, now we can open the door. Who has the key?
Nastia was calm enough to avoid the team having to sedate her. The volunteers who had been caring for Nastia slowly coaxed her into the transport cage. For Dr. Amir Khalil, months of frustration and anxiety were almost over.
Day I broke down and lost my way. Was the day you found me.
Okay, what did you
Alone,
Is it fixed?
I was down on my knees.
We must be out with the figure.
And you saw me cry, and you watched me fall, but you still held my hand and told me I was beautiful. And now I know that deep inside you worth every tear that I cry. Now I know that deep inside you worth every tear that I cry.
The young bear was headed towards her new life. A new life at this facility. When I left this place, it was an incomplete construction site with foundations built on frustration and anger. Now it looked like the place of sanctuary it was meant to be. The sanctuary is named Nadia Bear Sanctuary, after the big man Noria's wife, Nadia.
She's very happy.
The sanctuary consists of 3 enclosures, all of them with plenty of enrichment to entertain a young, energetic bear. Outside the sanctuary, a satellite van waited to broadcast the long-awaited release of Nastia into what is now the best bear sanctuary facility in Ukraine.
Помилуй нас, Боже, по великой милости Твоей, молим Тебя, услыши, и помилуй, Господи, помилуй, Господи.
The little guest of honor arrived. All Nastia needs to do is turn around and walk out. The 2 Ukrainian girls, Natalie and Nastia, that had shaped my time in Ukraine, both needed time to themselves. Nastia was left in peace for a couple of days to get used to her new home. When I arrived back at the sanctuary, I was greeted by a much calmer and happy little lady who was into exploring mode.
And I still love kissing you. I guess that's important if I'm gonna be in your life. And I think
Bear baiting in Ukraine still continues today, even though it is illegal. This means bears need to be rescued. Phillip Lennon is busy constructing another bear sanctuary in the east of Ukraine to accommodate these rescued bears. Nastia is not alone at her sanctuary anymore. She has fellow rescued bears as neighbors. I still try and keep in touch with Natalie. Her mother lost her battle against cancer. Natalie has moved on to allow her life to take a new path. Natalie and Nastia, the young ladies who both lost their mothers during my time in Ukraine, will be my memories forever.
And I think I have decided that I want to stay another 1,000 days with you. And I have concluded that you're what I've needed, and I'll do my best to hold on to you. Oh, and I want to thank you for everything, for all that we've lost and we've gained. 'Cause I have enjoyed every minute of it, and I'd do it all again. Oh, and I'd do it all again.